Television, a turning point in American entertainment that began in the 1950s and can still be seen today. Television in the 1950s changed American entertainment drastically by making information such as news more accessible to the public, creating a convenient way for television programs and movies to be viewed, and advancing technology in ways that had never been developed before.
Before television, entertainment consisted of live theater, radio, and books. If the public wanted to see a film, they were only available in theaters such as the one seen here. The technology in these movie theaters was poor and had many problems such as distortion and bad sound quality. News was spread through newspapers or letters between people and often took time to reach the public. The only way information reached the public in time was the radio, and at the time, this form of technology was less than adequate. Though information would reach the public in a timely manner, static and other technical interferences would disrupt the information. Eventually, people began looking for new sources of information and entertainment.
Over time, these problems with the radios and movie theaters began to be resolved. The technology began to get better, and the sound became a bit more audible. Because of these advancements, people began to expand the idea of television and its development. Although television was not a new idea, it had not been developed until a man named Philo Farnsworth was able to produce the first electronic television picture in 1927. This breakthrough sparked more development and desire for television. Companies began thinking about the idea of creating their own channels to be broadcasted on the television. By the 1930s, experimental broadcast television had begun.
When television broadcasting first started, images were fuzzy and unclear. The first television pictures included things such as wrestling, music, and dance. However, these images were only transmitted to a limited number of screens. It wasn't until 1939 that network television was introduced to the world. After this, companies began to broadcast programs and news to more screens. Though television was still seen as a fad, it began to grow in popularity. As the popularity of television picked up, companies had to find more ways to transfer the programs onto more sets, allowing more people to view them.
It wasn't until 1947 that television's growth really began to expand. Some of the biggest shows premiered and commercial advertising began.
Kool-Aid, a 5-cent package makes 2 quarts of Kool-Aid, Kool-Aid, 9 great flavors, the drink you love. Kool-Aid, Kool-Aid,
for the very best drink you ever made.
Kool-Aid, Kool-Aid,
Be sure that the envelope says
Kool-Aid.
You can give your youngsters a lot of pleasure with Kool-Aid.
Television sets became a household necessity, being owned by most American families that could afford them, which opened up more opportunities for the programming. Entertainment went from theater and radio to new technology of the television sets, and gave people the convenience of watching programs from the comfort of their own home.
News also became an important part of television since it created a way for people to access information faster. At the start of the 1950s, over 7 million television sets were in circulation. This made the need for news broadcasting grow. Rather than waiting to hear about the news in a newspaper the next day or hearing it on the radio through static, people wanted to find out things sooner and actually see the story that was being told. This first happened in 1949 when a young girl named Kathy Fiscus fell into a Los Angeles well. Television provided continuous coverage for the story and proved that live television news could not only inform but also unify a community.
Live television wasn't just used to cover tragedies. Things like presidential speeches also began to be broadcasted. President Truman's White House address was the first televised presidential speech. Also, live footage from wars began to be broadcasted on television. The news helped keep people up to date with what they might need to know or what was going on at the time, which was a big step that came from the development of television. However, television news did have its problems. At the start of the 1950s, people did not have the technology to keep up long broadcasts or send the signal out to other parts of the country. These problems weren't fixed until the early 1960s when new coverage began to include satellite images from around the globe.
Over time, the new technology of having a television managed to change the way the public was able to access entertainment and news. Television was a new technology that people fell in love with and went crazy about. It is almost as if television instantly changed the world and the people in it. American families were portrayed in a certain way, with the father as the head of the house, the mother cooking, cleaning, and taking care of household duties, and the child always complying to the parents' wishes.
Of course, you realize you can't keep a bicycle you won while you were being disobedient. We'll have to find something to do with the bike.
Larry and I already found something to do with it.
Oh, you did?
Shows such as Leave It to Beaver and Father Knows Best both represented the American family in this way.
These television shows that were part of the new television popularity outbreak quickly became enjoyed by the people of the 1950s, and the typical American family stereotypes quickly became a reality. As time went on, television began to solve its problems and grow in new ways that people didn't think were possible. The black and white pictures with fuzzy sound, changed into crisp, colorful pictures with clear sound.
Sure, I'm Batman, see?
What secret? Tell me the secret.
Mom smokes in the car. Jesus is okay with it, but we can't tell Dad.
Not that secret. The other secret.
I'm Batman.
Damn it, show it!
Television in the 1950s also opened up many new job opportunities for people who were looking to work, such as being an actor or actress, filming, directing, producing, and much more. All of these jobs have progressed and are still seen as successful jobs to this day. Jobs also opened up in the technology field. As special effects became a bigger role in television, artists and designers were needed to help improve them.
Overall, television became a new source of entertainment and information. It filled Americans with a joyous feeling that was not seen during the Great Depression, the Dust Bowl, or World War II. Television also allowed people to see live broadcasts and news reports, as well as watch television shows and other forms of entertainment. The days of spending money at the theater and waiting for outdated newspapers came to an end as television began to become more popular. Now, an estimated 90% of all households own a television. TV shows and films all have good picture and sound quality, and even some older movies and television shows have been restored to fit the times.
I mean, we're looking at something that 4 generations of people literally now have seen as they grew up. Our generation and then each generation after that.
Dixon Dern is right. Television has shaped all generations since the 1950s and has become a major part of modern-day life.